أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا في قناة Arab Mag الدرس التاسع. اليوم سنتحدث عن المثنى. Hello and welcome to Arab Mag channel, lesson number 9. Today we will be speaking about al-muthanna, that means the dual. In Arabic we have singular form, dual form, and plural form. So today we are going to speak about the dual form. لما نتحدث عن المثنى في اللغة العربية هناك حالتان. هنا مفرد أو مفردة صف. المثنى لهذه الكلمة هو صفان أو صفين، صفان أو صفين. إذن حالتين، الأولى بالألف والنون والثانية بالياء والنون. كذلك المفردة بيت لها حالتان، المثنى بالألف والنون والمثنى بالياء والنون. So in talking about the dual form in Arabic, there are two forms, one with alif and noon, and the other one is with ya and noon. That means to derive a dual form from the noun like saf, which means class, we need to attach the suffix alif and noon at the end of the noun, or the suffix ya and noon at the end of the noun. These variations, these two forms are not interchangeable because every time we make a sentence, only one of them is correct, and it depends on what precedes the noun. That's what determines which one is correct. We're going to see an example. For the word bait, which means house, the dual form is baitan or baitani. So we attach the suffix alif and noon to the word bait. Or baitaini with ya and noon, we attach the suffix ya and noon. Again, these two suffixes or these two forms, they are not interchangeable. It always depends on what precedes the word. We're going to see an example shortly. This is the example. For instance, we say huma safani. Only one is correct, as it is preceded by huma, which is a pronoun, which is here like mubtada as subject. Huma is the subject pronoun for the dual form. It requires the dual form of the noun with alif and noon. And notice that if any adjectives or verbs are going to follow, they will have to agree with this noun in this form of dual. As for this one, it's different because we say أذهب إلى صفين. See, here we use ya and noon as a suffix. Instead of alif and noon, we use ya and noon. Why? Simply because it is preceded by this preposition ila. So ila requires ya and noon. Huma requires alif and noon. And these are just examples because there are a lot of other pronouns and other prepositions and words and forms or structures which require this. For now, please remember this as an example, a preposition. Most of the prepositions, if not all of them, they require ya and noon as a suffix. So it is easy to recognize the suffix for the dual form. It's going to be like ya and noon, or alif and noon, and sometimes alif when another grammatical rule intervenes and requires that we drop the noon. Sometimes we use this and it's correct, but there is another grammatical rule requiring to drop the noon, and we are left with alif to stand for the dual form. In Al-Fusha, dual endings can occur not only on nouns, just like we have here, saf, that's a noun, but normally it doesn't occur it doesn't occur on nouns only, but also on adjectives, verbs, and pronouns. Pronouns, we have seen an example here. We are going to see an example with adjectives. So it also occurs with adjectives, verbs, nouns, and pronouns. We will present these for you to learn actively later. For now, learn to recognize dual suffixes when you see and hear them. It will be easy for you to identify them because they all share the endings ya and noon, alif and noon, or just alif. The following sentences contain examples of different dual suffixes. So look at the sentences. Sorry. Huma as a pronoun. Ukhtani. Ukhtani, because of huma as a pronoun, subject, it requires ani, the alif and noon. This part which is highlighted, alif and noon. Now that indicates that it is dual and that it agrees with the pronoun. في نفس الصف أختان. They are, the pronoun means they, but two, they two. Okay. هما أختان في نفس الصف. Here the preposition في, that means in نفسي, the same الصف, class. So they are sisters in the same class. هما أختان في نفس الصف, but please pay attention to alif and noon required by huma. The next example is أذهب إلى. So I go to, preposition إلى, preposition to, إلى, requires the dual form which consists of ya and noon. Then we read it, أذهب إلى صفين. Unlike صفاني, صفين with ya and noon. فقط في يوم الأربعاء. أذهب إلى صفين فقط في يوم الأربعاء. فقط means only. So the whole thing is I go to two classes only. فقط. في يوم الأربعاء, on Wednesday. يوم, day. الأربعاء, Wednesday. هذان, so these two, so the alif and noon indicate that these stands for two. We are pointing at two. So هذان البيتان. Sorry. البيتان, these two houses. So they are dual because we have this alif and noon, and that is required by هذان. هذا البيتان, هذان البيتان صغيران. صغيران here is an example of adjective. The adjective also has to agree with the noun in the form of the dual form. So صغيران with alif and noon. ألف and نون, ألف and نون. شكرا وإلى اللقاء في الدرس المقبل إن شاء الله. مع السلامة.